Yes, I know that God is by my side. Keep the faith every day, I pray. The only way I could survive. Yeah, no matter what you going through, he'll never leave you. His love is eternal. Welcome to Worthy People. Yeah, coming straight out the projects. It was hard growing up. Born dead as an infant. Mother addicted to drugs. Coming in and out of foster care. He was stuck in a system. After doing time in prison, gave his life to Christ, now a Christian. You feel like nobody gets you. Nobody knows what you've been through. Well, Cody has been where you are, you heard me? So remember that you are worthy. Worthy, worthy, worthy people, yeah. Even when it's hard, always keep your faith in God, yeah. Worthy, worthy, worthy people, yeah. Struggling and searching, remember you are worthy. Worthy people, God will never give up on you. Let's go, let's go.
What's up, WP fam? We're so glad to be here with a new episode of Worthy People. How are you doing? I hope that you're doing well. I'm joined by my ever lovely, beautiful Latina wife, Julia.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, we're glad to be able to come through here and talk to you today with a new episode. I want to thank everyone who has subscribed. If you have not subscribed to get alerts when we have new videos, go ahead. It's the button just below my face here that says subscribe. Hit that and you will be alerted whenever we have a new video. But we're going to jump into today's conversation. And it's going to be a good one.
Yes, it's going to be a really good one.
So stay tuned for that. For everyone who watched the mail call episode last week, we pray that you enjoyed that. Everyone who's listening, I want to just give, a shout out nationwide, whatever state that you're in. New York, California, Florida, Texas, where we are, Oklahoma, Washington, Missouri, North Carolina, South Carolina, North Dakota, South Dakota, Alabama, Ohio,
California.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah. I'm probably missing some, but thank you so much nationwide that are listening to us and watching us now. Today. This is still new to us on Pando, so it might look a little different every time that we come on here. We are still always just trying to figure this stuff out when it comes to all of this. And then we started this in a season where we are at of allergies. Like it is like crazy allergies where we are.
Yes.
And so we're always sniffling or something. So pray for us. Pray these allergies away. Because it gets crazy out there and they hit my wife the worst. So sometimes you catch us with the sniffles. So let's get going today. Let somebody know. Tell your Sally, man, get up on that Worthy People on the Pando. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? They get down on there. And today, before we get going into our topic, we would like to give some shout outs.
Yes, I have some shout outs. I worked on this yesterday. So I have Kimberly Lopez to her son Eric on Hutchins, and she said happy birthday. Just so you know, I know your birthday was on the 13th. I caught this message like I don't know how I slipped on it, but happy belated birthday. She says she misses you so much and she wishes she could spend a day together, and she said love your mom. And then I have Nena Mendez a su hijo Mario Carrillo en Robertson Unit. Échale ganas, la gente siempre nos va a decepcionar, pero Dios no. April, shout out to my handsome love of my life, Raymond Loya in Lena Unit. You're always in my prayers, and I'm always thinking about you, and I'm not going anywhere. Just wish I could hear your voice to make me feel better. Talking with you always made me feel at ease. We are in this together till the end. I love you so much. Miss you. Love always, your girlfriend April and Princess Amber. Many tight hugs and many kisses. Oh, that was a good one. And then Annette to her son Gibbo at Allred. She reached out to us and she's part of the fam now. So she's very sweet, by the way. Clinton Majors at Elkhart County Jail. Just know that you're not alone. And then I have Candace McLennan, Alabama. Welcome to the family of Christ. We all fall. Just know that we all fall short daily. It doesn't matter how long you've been saved. Keep trying and surround yourself with the people of God, and the urges will start to leave slowly. Pray, you asked how do you pray? Just pray like he's your friend, like you're talking to a friend, and you do not need a passport to visit San Antonio. That was fun. I thought that was funny, but hey, it's a good question. Gilbert Rios at the Stevenson unit, your letter cracked us up. And actually Stevie B and Little Susie. Okay, Little Susie, I'm always listening to that Take Me in Your Arms song, and my husband is like tired of it because I'm always blasting it all the time. And he's like, what is this? But anyway, good music, by the way. And yes, we've seen Casting Crowns twice actually at the rodeo, and we've seen them at a Hillsong concert, and they're amazing. And that's like steak and potatoes with gravy on top. Like, these guys can preach. They had like the whole room going. But anyways, love Casting Crown. John Heyer, this is the gentleman that I told you about, that he's done more time than anybody else that we have ever.
This letter that we got from John,
yes,
he really breaks a record in terms of doing time, and can make the 5 years that I did seem like nothing. But we wanted to give him a shout out as the person that we've known that has been incarcerated the longest. And how many years?
I think it was like 53.
53 years since the 70s, right?
Something like that, yes.
Since like 1975, when he was 16.
16 years old.
Yeah, they're in Alabama. So if you know him, let him know to tune in and watch this episode. We're giving him a shout out. Almost 55 years of incarceration since the 70s. That just blows our mind, that you've been gone that long and have a life sentence. And man, we just lift you up in prayer, and the brothers and sisters in Christ that are watching this, if you have a prayer list, keep him lifted,
yes,
in prayer as well, as he just continues living his life, in incarceration since the 70s. And so he's kind of seen it all, done it all.
Yeah.
But
he says he needs his joy back. So we're wanting you to stay encouraged and allow God to give you that back, because he's the only one that can give you your joy.
All right. Well,
and then we have one more. Sorry. Okay. So we have Rocky. At the McConnell unit. I just want to let you know, stay encouraged, and that we're also praying for you.
And do we have any family photos
we have
from the WP
some,
fam?
Yes, and they're going to be up there with the shout outs.
Oh, yeah. So you already got to check those out, hopefully. So today you've probably seen this title, and maybe it dropped in to the first time on the Worthy People podcast. Blood in, blood out. That's what we are going to be talking about today. And man, this is really a movie that has like a cult following. It's a classic almost in a lot of homes. Many of us saw this movie growing up, and so we're wanting to have a conversation about this and the lessons that we can learn from Blood In and Blood Out. And I know the movie. I
didn't know the movie.
I know about Miklo and just all the characters that are in the movie Blood In, Blood Out. If you have seen it, then maybe
if you haven't, we're not endorsing it.
Yeah, I'm not endorsing it, but if you have seen it, we're going to be looking at some lessons from that. But we thought today we could have some special guests be able to share with you a message just from you, no better than the actors from Blood In, Blood Out, Damian Chapa, who plays Miklo, and Victor Rivers, who plays Magic from the movie. I got to meet them this past weekend, and I asked them if they would share a message with the WP fam And so check this out.
Hey, it's Miklo, Demian Chapa, de Sangre por Sangre, Blood In, Blood Out. And I want to say that I have a special guest here with me, a very close individual to me. Magic's here. And La Onda's here, and we're here to help this gentleman to spread a wonderful message to you guys. I know it's tough, believe me. I've been there. I know what you're going through. But I want to tell you something. You can make it no matter what. Just remember, death is a door that opens. It doesn't close. And we all got to go there sometime. So I know you guys are tougher than me. So tough it out. You're going to be strong. And Magic wants to tell you something too.
So yeah, this is Victor Rivers, Magic from Blood In, Blood Out, Sangre por Sangre, para mi gente, un apoyo. But what I really want to say is, and I was just telling this gentleman that my own personal story is I could have been Magic in real life. I grew up in a home that was full of so much abuse that I eventually ran away from the home and lived on the streets and joined the gang. But through the grace of God and because my community did not let me fall through the cracks. I'm the child of the village race, but I was 15 years old, as big as I am right now, and so I was able to turn my life around, get educated, use my words instead of my fists. But I really related to Magic while I was inside St. Quentin, and I know that many of the gentlemen that I talked to had my story. They just didn't have the opportunities that I had. So, thank you.
And I got to tell you one more thing. We're going to spread gospel Billy Graham style.
Hey, I want to tell you something. Can we say one thing? Hey, I'm white on the outside, but I'm brown on the inside. Can you say that to him?
He better be. His wife will kill him.
Hey, what'd y'all think about that part where he said, I'm white on the outside, but brown on the inside? I laugh at that point. Of course, I'm married to a beautiful Latina woman, but I've never been
You've always said
confused
that
to
before, and I'm like, I have
am-
no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, of course I know that I am white. I'm Caucasian, and I've never tried to be. I've never tried to be anything but that. So, but that was kind of cool to be able to say that with him. And then you also heard that he was able to share with you guys that hey, when you're in there, you got to go through it. He said, "Death is a door that we must all walk through."
Yeah.
And that's inevitable. Many of us don't want to talk about it. No one wants to think about death. But hey, there's all a day to where we're going to leave this earth. And I thought that was great that he said that because we've got to start thinking about that. We've got to start thinking about that day of when that is. And he said, hey, we're going to spread the gospel Billy Graham style.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here doing today, spreading the gospel. Of course, in the movie, they were talking about their agenda, but we're talking about the real gospel, the real Billy Graham, right? So I thought that was kind of cool about Miklo.
Yeah, and Magic was cool. I like both of them, but I really like Magic because I think he really wanted to let us know, and he was kind of like really letting us know that he grew up in that, and one of the things, he said it twice. He said, right when we walked in, he said, I grew up in a very violent and dysfunctional household, and that when he was walking around San Quentin recording this, it kind of opened his eyes, and he was like, whoa, like this could have really been me. Like this could have really been my life, So, and then he said that by the grace of God, he was able to not be in that life, so I think he was very impressed, and they were both very eager to, when we told him who we were, that they were eager to give a shout out to everybody out there, and just say hi and give some encouragement.
Yeah. And Miklo, I mean, it was a movie and a character that he played, but he's also been incarcerated in real life for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So he's been there. And he said something, tough it out. You got to be tough. You got to be tough. And, many of us, that's all we know how to be. And prison is a hard environment. It will make you tough to be able to get through the elements and everything that comes with prison. But there came to a point to me 3 years in that I was like, okay, all the toughness in the world, and I still need help, and I still can't do it on my own. And that's the beautiful thing about God, is that he can come in and he can help you even in a prison situation. And so maybe you're watching us today and you're like, man, I've never seen this movie. So even if you've not seen the movie before, I think there's nuggets, there's lessons that we can take from the movie. And we want to talk about some of those things that happen in the movie. And one of the first things that happens in the Blood In, Blood Out movie is that Miklo shows up to California and shows up to his family's house, and he's still on probation. He's not off probation yet, and that's a part to where they're in this car, they're overlooking the skyline of LA, and an officer comes up behind them and talks to him and says, hey, oh, you're the kid. He tells Paco, you're the kid that fights. And he's like, hey, you may want to get that bumper lifted like your uppercut. And that's a scene in the beginning of the movie. But Miklo, he's very nervous at that point because they are doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And he's on probation, and here he is kind of caught up in the moment, joyriding, having fun. But he could have gotten caught back up. He could have gotten in trouble, and he's already in trouble. He's already on probation. And so
It's important to note that he was trying to be good. Like, he was trying not to get in trouble at first. But then, I mean, his dad was very violent towards him. His mom was doing her own thing. And like, he just kind of got back with the friends, like kind of like what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, that the crew, he just went back to his old people. And even though he was trying to do good, he just started doing what they were doing, so that I think
there's a lesson in that, is that Miklo wanted to go back home to what's familiar. He wanted to go back home to his family. I mean, he was with his mom, he was with his cousins, and that's the familiar part that we like. People that are from where we're from, and ultimately it wasn't, the best decision for him. Of course, the movie ends up unfolding, and going back there around his family is what ends up getting him in trouble again. And sends him to prison. And so that's the first lesson that we can learn from Blood In, Blood Out is from that is, hey, not going back to the family and the friends and the part that's comfortable. So then you see that Miklo goes to prison, and he has a hard time because, he was raised in a Hispanic culture and around Hispanic people, but he's very white complected, and so he's not accepted by the other Hispanics within the prison. And we know how things can be very, very ran on race and ran on looks. And that famous line, he's like, I mean, you're gonna write me off just because I'm white complected. Since when does everything matter about skin color? And that's when he says, hey, I might be, white on the outside, but I'm brown on the inside, right? And he wanted to do anything to fit in. And in prison, you're going to be challenged with that right now. What anything to fit in. There's people, even for watching this Worthy People on Pando, man, what's up, man? You over there with them Bible people? You're a Christian now? What's up? Why you up on that stuff, man? We ain't trying to hear none of that. And you're going to be challenged with the decisions that you make. But Miklo, he was desperate for anything. And that's where you get the title of Blood In, Blood Out, is that, hey, even to be able to fit in, he had to do something wrong. He had to go and end somebody's life. And if he wanted up out of the gang, his life would be ended. And when you think about that, like that's not anything that's going to help you in your life. And maybe you're watching this and you're in a gang situation right now. So stick with us, because that's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the hope and the true blood in, blood out of Jesus Christ, and not being stuck and not being continued to be ran and given orders to, that there can be hope to be able to leave the gang life and leave this way of life that we see in the movie. But to go into the next part of the movie, and I don't know, before we go into that, if there's anything you wanted to talk about the first two lessons from the movie of Blood In, Blood Out.
Like I said, I had never seen this movie before. I did watch it just because I wanted to get an idea of what I was looking at. And I mean, as being Hispanic and Mexican and stuff, like there's a lot of stuff that I could relate to, that I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is so, it's so true. The pressures of the family, especially the family, the friends, like, I mean, it's basically like you don't have a choice. Like this is how you grow up. This is what you have to do, or you get made fun of. You get made fun of or picked on or casted out or whatever. So, another thing that it really, and I know I told you this, and you kind of were like, yeah, duh, is because when he went in, he put his arms out and he measured the cell. And I've never, I'm a little claustrophobic, and I'm just like, he literally couldn't put both arms out. And that, my little claustrophobia thing was like freaking out, And so I tell Cody, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I never realized, like that gave such a big perspective on how big the cells are, and it freaked me out. I'm just going to be honest with y'all.
Well, more of a perspective of how small the cells are, and we know that there are people watching from SEG and from, Death Row, Life Row right now, and you are by yourself. Many of you have written us from SEG letters of how many years that you have been in SEG, how many years you've been back there. And that for those in general population that are watching, in medium custody that are watching right now, this is a message to you that there are people that because of gang affiliation have been in a cell, in a box for many, many years. They're not making parole. They don't get contact visits. They don't get to do anything in general population, even to socialize, to go to school, to go to college, to get a trade, to go to the chapel. They're waiting to try to complete the grad program of renouncing the gang. And and maybe you're watching this today, like I said, and you're in that SEG situation. And so this firsthand. That all the glory of it, of the status and all that, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth the price that you have to pay. And of course, prison has evolved depending on where you're at and where you're doing time. And, prisons are not as violent as they were back in the day, but there's still plenty of violence that goes on in units. And so we're here today to lift up the hope that you don't have to live in that life anymore. You don't have to choose that path. You don't have to have someone that you have to answer to. And many of the people in the movie, they would say, man, I'm born into this. I can't make a choice. While in prison, there were many people in the gang life that I would talk and witness to, and they would be at a crossroads. They wanted to change. They wanted to be different. And those people, they just didn't know what to do. And my encouragement is to be able to trust God in the process. Yeah. Because if you're going to be for real about this Jesus thing and you really want to be able to let it go, it's possible to let it go, and I've seen God just work through, watch over, protect.
Yeah.
It's your life that's at risk. And Miklo, he was in prison and he came up for parole, and he told them, they said, man, are you in this, gang activity? And he told them no, that he's not, he just, hangs around with those people, but he's not in the gang. And you see the parole board, you see the warden, they all look at each other and kind of shake their head like, come on, They tell him, we're not idiots, we know. And they deny him parole. So he had a chance to go home, to go to his family, and he didn't, right? And so the leader of the gang Montana, he told him this: to make parole, you have to act like someone who wants to make parole.
Yes.
Look at your actions. Do your actions and what you're doing involved in, do they look like you want to be able to make parole? You know, and maybe parole isn't an option for you. Even if it's not for you, do your actions look like someone who wants to better themselves, who wants to go further in life, who wants to learn from their mistakes? You have to ask yourself that question. For my brothers and sisters that are watching this in medium custody right now, I talk to y'all guys. I see y'all. I do the medium custody services, and I've been there. I've been in medium custody. I've been in SEG. I've been in all that. You know, I've been there before, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Your life is so much more worth, so much more than being caught up in all the politics that come with that. And so Montana tells him, like, you need to start going to school. You need to start doing these things to be able to go home, to be able to make parole.
Montana was very, you know, he was the leader of the gang and stuff, but he was very wise and he really cared about him, like, to a certain extent, right? He was like, hey, like, I want to see you out. I think because he saw that he was so young, you know, so he kind of had a heart for him. And, you know, one of the things when we were at church yesterday that I was like, you know what, this is real, is that we need to pray for those people, like those leaders and things like that, because God can change them. They can help them. And you know, and they have influence. So it'd be like, hey, let's if they're doing that and we're praying for them and they're getting saved, can you imagine like the revolution for Jesus that would happen in there? Like, it would be amazing. You know what I mean? So we're going to pray for them too.
And sometimes, just to be real with y'all, that is the trap, is that whoever is a part of the gang or leading the gang does seem like they care. And that's the biggest trap, is because it's like, oh, we're sticking together so that we can take care of you and so that you can go home. And so all that. And there's many things that's really the lie, just to keep you hooked in. And I know this isn't popular. I know when I go into prisons and I have gang leaders and people that end up accepting Christ and getting up out of the gang, I mean, I'm having a real conversation. Like, not everybody wants to have this conversation. This isn't popular. It's really kind of like no one talks about it. But I want to be able to have conversations on topics that are sometimes controversial, because that's really, I mean, I've been to prison. I know that. I've been a part of all that. And I want to be able to address it. And the thing is that anybody who is putting you in a position to do things or anything that is going to bring harm to someone else, something against their will, something that's against the authority that is being placed in the prison, is not someone who wants your best interest. So you have to recognize that. And so you see in the movie that Miklo, he starts going to school and getting his education, and he ends up making parole. He ends up making parole because of that. But that's a little of the prison life. Julia, you wanted to share with those things that were going on the outside.
Yeah, the crazy stuff.
With the homeboys and the family and stuff.
Yeah, well, the main thing is that, you know, Cruz, which is, I think is the cousin or something, he becomes a drug addict, a heroin addict. And man, like, he's a talented artist that actually has, like, somewhere to go and things to do and galleries to show, and he's showing, you know, he just has all these open doors. Like, he's showing his art, people are buying his art, and it's all about his barrio, like his place, like, you know, his hood or whatever. But in the middle of that, he becomes a heroin addict, and then on top of that, you know, he's doing his drugs, and he has a little brother. And his little brother ends up, I guess, overdosing because he sees a needle and he just puts it in his arm, you know, and the mom finds him and he's dead. I mean, and, you know, I know that that was such a strong scene in the movie for me. Number one, because I wasn't expecting it, but I was just like, oh my gosh, like, this actually happens in real life. And we actually have a friend who told us that that scene was very real to him yesterday, because he has a friend that that actually happened to, you know, and he lost his little brother to that. And of course, from there, you know, the family comes in and the mom's like, don't talk to me, I hate you. So he goes further into the addiction. The whole family cuts him off, you know, and it's just so sad, because the family splits up, you know, and again, because he chose to do the drugs, and he had like a future ahead of him. He had talent. He had somewhere to be. Like, we do believe that there's always a way out, you know, of the situation. It doesn't seem like it, but you know, sometimes there's always a way out. I know when I moved, you know, I had a family that would pressure me a lot. I mean, Mexican families, oh my gosh, they can be so over you, like, you know, like you, like everything, like they put a lot of pressure on you to be who they are. Like they told me, like, you can't go to college because we don't do that, you know, things like that. But, you know, you got to have strong will and say, you know what, no, I am going to do different. And even if you're already in there, I mean, you have options to do better, to go to school, to do things, to do good, you know, not to continue to that. But, you know, his family, they cut him off, and they were just like, well, you're not going to change. You're never going to change. You're never going to change. But, and I know I've gotten a lot of letters where people tell me like, well, my family has cut me off because, you know, I'm doing bad things, or I did bad things and stuff. And you're sad about it and stuff. But, you know, it's hard, but you just got to keep doing right. And I mean, and pray that God restores your family to you. And in the end, you know, Cruz's family did, you know, accept him back. They forgave him, which I thought that was really powerful. The forgiveness of your family, you know, of, you know, and ultimately at the end of the day, Cruz had to forgive himself, because, you know, what he was doing did lead to his little brother's death. And he had to forgive himself and say, you know what? Okay, it happened. You know, I was a part of it, but I have to forgive myself, you know, and he had to stop doing what he was doing because he was slowly killing himself.
One of the biggest things that stood out to me about Paco is choosing the different life. Like,
yes,
he went to the Marines, he got up out of all of the life, and I can relate a lot to the movie as growing up in the project, growing up with addiction, all my, you know, family, aunt, uncle, brothers, you know, me, as far as everybody was always in and out of prison. We grew up in dysfunction. That's all we know. But I have an uncle that's like the only person in the family that like made it out, and got a job and did something with his life. And he didn't really come around much, and we always thought that he thought he was better than us because he had made it, and because he did make it, and he did have, you know, money because he worked a little bit legitimate job and stuff. We felt like he owed us, like, hey man, what's up? I mean, you're doing good. I mean, you should be looking out for us. But in reality, he didn't owe us anything. I mean, he chose to do better for himself, but we made the decisions to continue living in the addiction and the dysfunction. And he has a hard time with his family and making that choice as someone who got out of the gang life and got out of the hood, and did something with his life. And we see that in the movie that Paco, he ultimately becomes a police officer after he saw that addiction ended his brother's life. He wanted to be able to do something to go after, you know, the people that are you know, dealing this poison that's ending people's lives. And I know in a prison environment that's not popular, that he wanted to do this. And we see that in the movie that after 9 years, Miklo makes parole. He gets out, and his homeboy was supposed to have him a place, and he let him down. And ultimately it was his homeboy betraying him, someone he was a part of the gang with, that sold him out. that led him back to incarceration, is because instead of starting over on his own and getting away from all that, he went back to the gang life, and he went back to everyone that he used to know, and he thought that his homeboys were going to be there for him, and that's what ends up getting him caught up. I mean, he's out for a month and they're already planning a robbery.
I mean, and we're not okay, because he did struggle. Like, his boss was a jerk, and he used the words, well, you're just a felon and you're just this, and I know that when you got out you had a hard time. I mean, I wasn't there, but you've told me that you had a hard time with people and getting a job and things like that. And you've also told me how it would have been just easier to go back and, get your other connections, started back up and stuff, and making fast money and things like that. So, I think in the movie, like, his boss even stole money and then made him pay for it, and
his boss steals money out of his check and was like, I'm gonna, if you want to push the issue, I'll call the police. You're on parole. Who are they gonna believe, me or you? And he used that power to take advantage of.
So one of the things that I wanted to say on that is that that's never okay, and a lot of us, I know in my culture, we're taught to stay quiet and just be like, hey, I don't want to start any drama. I don't want to, but I mean, that's not okay anymore. And, if you ever need help with anything like that, you call somebody that you go higher. Don't let the issue go. You know what I mean? Because that's not okay that people are treating you different just because you made a mistake at some point, but hey, you're out, you're trying to do good. You need to be treated right, so.
In the movie, you see where Miklos, they're doing this robbery, they're going to make this fast cash again. His Paco shows up, and as a detective, because his Miklos' homeboy sold him out and snitched him out because he got mad and stuff about how they were going about everything. And so Paco is back up on the scene now as the officer, and it's the scene to where Miklos making a run for it, and Paco ends up, shooting him. And as someone here, watching it, and probably if you've seen the movie, watched it, everybody's like, man, that's messed up. That's his own family. How could he do that to him? And he comes to visit Miklo when he's in the hospital and they amputate his leg. And Miklo's like, man, you're dead to me. I can't believe you did this. And we're all so caught up on that no one can see, hold up. What's he doing? Out on parole. He's out a month. He's already committing a crime again. We don't even see that. All we see is we can't believe that,
shot him.
Yeah, and he's the officer now.
He put him back in prison. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're not seeing the point, hold up. That would have never happened if he didn't place himself in that situation. And I want to ask you, what situations do you put yourself in? It's easy to get mad at the other people or the officers or whatever, but what situations, even on the inside, are you putting yourself in? What is it really worth it in the end result of bettering yourself, of learning, becoming better, getting ready, getting prepared to one day, whenever you are out, or be the example, being the light within that place to others, and letting them know, and letting the new people that roll up know, hey, I've been down that road, man, and it ain't all that. That road ain't gonna lead to anything but to more trouble, more problems. I mean, I look at it, you're already in a prison situation and you lose your freedom. It's just man, you lost your freedom to be in prison, you're losing your freedom again. And we have a very real enemy. We know that the Bible says in John 10:10, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. That's the devil. He wants to steal your freedom. He wants to kill your dreams. He wants to destroy your plans. But Jesus said, but I have come to give you life, and life abundantly. don't fall into this trap, this blood in, blood out trap of like, hey, it's death before dishonor, all those street codes and street life and whatever. Like it's not leading anywhere. It's ultimately a big deal that the enemy has put together to take your life from you, to take your freedom from you, to distract you from what really matters in your life, especially while you're on the inside. And one of the points in the movie that I want to say is like, you see Miklo, he's on probation, goes to prison, does 9 years, makes parole. A month later, he's back in prison again. Loses his leg. And guess what? Like, everything that he was a part of and all of his homies, when he shows back up, it's all falling apart. Like, there's all this war, all these problems, and there's all this politics and drama about who's running what, doing what. Man, I used to be a part of all that. Last week, I was talking about Rowdy, my homeboy, over there on the Robertson unit, about being a part of all that mix up there at on Beto and stuff. And it's just like, man, it was just so much drama all the time. I never had any peace. Like, it just was always in the mix, and there's no way to have to live life or do time at all. And I wanted to share with you a music video here. We're going to share this music video, and we'll be right back. So stay in tune with the best part of our conversation is going to be right after this.
What's up, homie? You ain't that crazy until you can do what he did on the cross. You say you're caught up, huh? Too deep. There's only one thing that can get you out. Trucha, escucha. Let me shoot a kite to you vatos in the pen. It's time to get right, homes. It's time to get born again. And to you homies in the hood posted up, I'm gonna hit you up and say before you hit me up. Christ changed my life before time in the pen. And I'ma keep it real, let the story begin. Back in the days, never afraid to say, let's get them up. Banging for the value, and said throwing it up. I was a real rider, and said ready to ride. Down for the kick, I representing my side. The big bad value, it's about blood in and blood out. But the devil's right behind you, ready to take you out. It's time to look up and say for your redemption draweth nigh. Y loco for Cristo until the day that I die. And you ain't hard till you did what he did on the cross. He did it for you, he did it for me, so we wouldn't be lost. Blood in, blood out. It takes the blood in, blood out, to get you out. Blood in, blood out. It takes your blood to get you in, it'll take his blood to get you out. Blood in, blood out. It takes the blood in, blood out, to get you out. Blood in, blood out. It takes your blood to get you in, it'll take his blood to get you out. I'm a loped out vato, and sit down for the Lord. You better not get it twisted, cause I'm still hardcore. Puro Lord side bangs, more a different estilo. Gente like to trip when I be banging for Cristo. They say I heard this vato rap, eh? They say it's pretty bad, eh? Heard he was Chicano and he raps for the Lord, eh? Sabes que, homie, I don't mean no disrespect. Little homies in La Pinta, down but got checked. Vatos put in the work and took a pencil to his neck. I guess that's what you get when you be dying for respect. And I don't mean to step on toes or shove it down nobody's throat, but it's time to get school homes and it ain't no joke. God sent me to pass the wire to you vatos on lock. Have love for your raza, let the madness stop. There's only one thing that can get you out, and that's the blood of Jesucristo, or straight get taken out. Blood in, blood out. It takes the blood in, blood out, to get you out. Blood in, blood out. It takes your blood to get you in, it'll take his blood to get you out. Blood in, blood out. It takes the blood in, blood out, to get you out. Blood in, blood out. It takes your blood to get you in, it'll take his blood to get you out. Stepping on snakes, it said checking the fakes. It said saying what I have to say, whatever it takes. It said for God so loved the world that he gave his only son. But he who lives by the sword, it said must die by one. So while you're living la vida loca, I'll be standing on la roca. No more slanging la droga, homie, and running from la chota. Tomorrow promises no man, you better recognize. Fooled by the angel of death in disguise. La palabras my cuete, homes, and I still got heart. Walking in the light and staying far from the dark. And if you don't believe me, trucha, he can pull your card. I'll be ducking and dodging from Satan's fiery darts. Think cuidado with the quickness, getting careful myself. The truth is the truth, homeboy, it speaks for itself. Getting caught up in the madness can get you taken out. It takes your blood to get you in, it'll take his blood to get you out. Blood in, blood out. It It takes the blood in, blood out, to get you out. Blood in, blood out. It takes your blood to get you in. It'll take his blood to get you out. Blood in, blood out. It takes the blood in, blood out, to get you out. Blood in, blood out. It takes your blood to get you in. It'll take his blood to get you out.
So welcome back here. This discussion that today is, of course, we showed this clip, with Miklo, with Magic. We're talking about this movie, things that we grew up, but we're talking about how it relates to real life. We're talking about how it is that there is a better way. And I know that many of you desire a better way. And maybe you're watching this and you cannot relate at all. But maybe you are already a Christian. Then these are great things that you can be a part of this conversation. To be able to have with those that you know in the day room or your cellie or someone who has these types of questions for you. And the reason why that I want to talk to you about this today and I want to bring this up is because I know that you're living in a place to where you're tired. You're tired of running. You're tired of keeping up with everything. You're tired of the politics in the mix. And there's someone watching this right now that God wants to let you know that he wants to set you free. We're talking about this blood in, blood out. I love it in the Bible where it says, I set before you. God says, I set before you life and death. It's a choice. No one is forcing you to do anything. But God says, choose life. Choose life. It's being set before you today. We've already lost enough. You see that in this movie, in the end, that nobody wins. There was just more and more losing, more and more fighting, more and more problems, right? Nobody wins in this game. And it's not created to win. It's created to destroy us, to have us going at each other. Because of race, we're all created in the image of God, regardless of our skin color. Because of who wants to be able to run or call the shots or anything like that. There's only one person that paid the cost to be the boss, and that is Jesus Christ. There's only one blood in, blood out, and that's the blood of Jesus. And that's what Jesus said in Matthew chapter 26, verse 28. Jesus said, "For this is my blood of the covenant, which is being poured out for many for forgiveness of sins." Jesus already paid the cost to set you free. His blood brought you into his new covenant. And in his new covenant, it's an opportunity to live a new life. He said, I'll give you peace, not as the world gives, not as the people around you give, but as he gives us a peace that passes all understanding, that even while being in prison, we can walk with peace. We don't have to be all worried about what's going on and being in the mix. He can give you joy. He can give you beauty for ashes, the things in your life, the things that you've been subjected to or a part of, the ashes of your life. He can give beauty to those things. He can use those to be able to encourage others and where they're at right now, that it's not the end. God wants to use every part of our stories so that other people like us, they can relate and know that, you know what, Jesus came to give us life and life abundantly. And whoever I'm talking to today, it's a choice you have to make. No one wants to force you into anything, talk you into anything. And we can watch this movie and we can be like, oh, yeah, it's going to be this way forever, And I, as a fan of the movie, growing up, it's the nostalgia. They're celebrating 30 years of this movie being out, right? And for the actors, it was just a movie. Miklo and Magic and the rest of them, they're actors. They didn't really live this life, but maybe you really did, or maybe you know someone who really did live this life. And we have to be the hope and bring the hope of Jesus, of saying there's a better way. You don't have to continue going down this path. There's a Jesus, and his blood of his new covenant. He brought you in. By him dying, he paid for every sin. Maybe you're beating yourself up about the mistakes of the past, the mistakes you made, the mistakes that have put you where you are today. And Jesus wants to set you free and say, you know what? I already paid the cost. My blood gives you a way to be able to be brought in to the family of God, to call yourself a child of God, so you know there's a better way out. That's the true definition of a Jesus blood in, blood out, is that he paid the cost to get you out. So you no longer have to be defined, and you don't have to stand before God and be judged for everything that you've done wrong. It says in the Bible that when God sees us, he sees the price that Jesus paid for us, right? He doesn't see us as our mistakes. He doesn't see us as the things that we've done wrong. That's how we can be coming across as worthy people today, is because Jesus has given us worth. Jesus has removed all these labels off of our life. You can be set free. You just have to seek God. And maybe in this time, you're at a crossroads of your life. You know you want something different. You know that there's something better, but you don't know how to do it. You don't know how to go and have that conversation with the group or whoever that you are in on the inside. I want to let you know today that God can help you with that. If you'll seek him first, and you'll have an honest spot in your heart of saying, you know what, this isn't an escape. This is real life for me. I'm not looking for an easy out. No, I'm looking to better myself. I'm looking to be able to, for once and for all, be able to learn more than I'm learning right now. I want to be able to get to a level to where I can be productive on the inside and get ready to one day, whenever that day is, for you to be productive on the outside and lead a life. Like, I've been home 10 years. I never thought. I used to sit in prison and think about when I got out, and the money and the cars and the fast life again. I thought about how I could do it better, but that's the definition of insanity, to continue doing the same things we've been doing and expect different results. And so I would have been back. I probably would have been back multiple times. Look at Miklo. He was back multiple times. It took his life from him, and there's more to life. And so we got to stand up today and say, I'm tired of my life being stolen. I'm tired of my life being taken from me. I'm ready to let Jesus be the Lord of my life. He already paid the cost, right? Whenever Jesus comes back, he's coming back again. And whenever he comes back, he's going to take his children who belong to him. It's not going to matter where we grew up. It's not going to matter even about our family. I have nothing to do with my family to this day, because I've chosen a way out. I've chosen a better life. I've chosen to live now in the blessings of God. This new covenant, man, it's a good life, man. I'm here to tell you that I've been on both sides. I've been on your side and I've been on this side. And I'm here to tell you that this way is worth it. And I couldn't do it on my own. I tried to give up. I tried to quit whatever it was, the smoking, drinking, whatever it is that's in your life right now. I couldn't until I cried out to Jesus and I said, I want to let your blood into my life so I can get this stuff out. And I explain it like this. If you've got a cup and you fill it full of dirt and you set it there and you continue to pour water in, the dirt starts to come out. And that water starts off black, and then it turns brown, then it turns clear, the more water. And so the more that you put in of God, of Jesus, through reading his word, through prayer, through connecting here on the Pando app with the other services here, you're putting the truth in. You're putting God's word in. And so that other stuff starts to come out. God starts to clean your heart. He starts to purify you, sanctify you. And you don't think you could ever be in a place to be where you see someone else serving God. Man, I never thought I'd be here. But God does that. He transforms you into a new creation. And so it's not that nothing's wasted. There's other people that they still think it's about how they grew up and the loyalty and and all that comes with it, just like the movie. And they need stories like you that say, you know what, I've been there before. And it brought me to a place like prison. I've been there before, and it caused me problems within prison. And I'm here to tell you today, I'm here to tell you as a mentor, as someone who's been there, that God has so much more for you. God has such a better life. Now, if you're watching today and you're comfortable and that's you, ain't nobody trying to change you. I'm not trying to change you. No one's trying to force you into something. It's your choice. If your life's good, you don't want to change it and it's all gravy, keep rolling down that road. That's all I can say. But someone who wants something different, I'm here to offer you a new chance, a new start, a new beginning. Man, it might be bumpy at first. I know it was for me. It was bumpy. It had me questioning, God, where are you at in this? Hey, but trust him. Trust him. It gets better day by day, time by time. Before you know it, you look back and you're like, man, I don't know why it took so long to make this decision. And so I just encourage you today. Receive the blood of Jesus. Receive it over your life. Receive that and know in your heart that, hey, whenever my life's over, I know I'll be going to heaven. I'll be going to heaven with Jesus. I'll be seeing any family members that made it there. Hey, and so it's not only better just here within the prison on the outside, but it's better even when we don't know when our last death was, when our death will be in our last day. What Miklo say in the video clip with me, he says, hey, death is a door we all have to walk through. Will you be ready to meet Jesus? When I gave my life to Christ on the jailhouse floor, it wasn't because anybody else had told me I was going to hell. It was because someone told me, if you died tonight, would you go to heaven? Would you stand before Jesus? And those words started playing